Hey everyone, it's Ian. Quick editor's note, there is going to be an obnoxious echo through the entire episode. There was a filter that I forgot to take off of my mic, which caused a 1/10 to a quarter of a second delay. So the two mics are not actually in sync, and you can actually hear the echoes between us. I did my best to edit it out, filter it out, but it is still there. It does subside after about 2.5, 3 minutes. So if you can make it past that mark, you're a champion and we love you. So, I know what caused it. It will be fixed for next episode. But just a heads up, this episode might be a little hard for some. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding. And here's the episode. Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and we lied to you. We said this episode was going to be just not... I don't even know what the movie is. It's Justice League, right?
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut. We didn't do that. None of our lives had time for that behemoth of a movie this time. So we did... What is this one called? Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong? We did that kaiju movie that came out.
Sorry, it's the American version. Titan. They
Oh,
are
I'm
Titans,
sorry.
not kaiju.
Whatever.
So dumb. So yeah, long story short, a 4-hour movie is hard to fit into one day and recording and, have a normal life. So
Right.
we decided, you know what, let's capitalize on Godzilla versus Kong having just released, and we'll do an episode on that.
Yeah.
And we will push back the Snyder Cut to the next episode. So
Yes.
next episode, look forward to Snyder Cut. Spoiler alert. For this movie and for next episode. Hey, hey, hey.
So if you didn't watch this one or listen to this one, I don't know what's happening. My brain is goo. We won't be giving a spoiler warning next time.
Right. So, Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes.
Do they just not call him King Kong anymore? Like, he's just Kong.
Just Kong,
right?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's been so long since Skull Island. I don't remember what they did with that.
yeah. Well, in Skull Island, they just called him Kong.
Yeah.
Also. Because it was Kong Skull Island. It wasn't King Kong.
Sure.
Is there like a licensing issue with it?
I feel like if there was, they wouldn't even be able to do as much as Kong.
Yeah. And I guess Skull Island is just as ubiquitous with King Kong
Sure.
as Kong.
As the king part of his name.
Yeah. I don't know, that just seems so strange that they never call him King.
Puppy! We are in person again, guys, if you couldn't already tell from the mic quality. And no, there's a puppy here.
Yeah, puppy! She's our personal kaiju.
She's a
'Cause
monster.
she's a monster. Trying
But
to
a
watch
cute
this with
monster.
snacks was not good viewing experience.
It was a very immersive viewing experience.
Getting smothered by a monster the entire time. Yeah, that was quite immersive. So I think the thing I wanted to start off on with this movie, because, I mean, we just watched it.
Yes.
We literally came upstairs from watching it. This movie is watchable on HBO Max. It is, however, have a theatrical release.
Yeah, if you've got theaters near you that are open, it might be there.
Yeah, which, right off the bat, I would highly suggest, if you have the ability to see it in theaters,
Yeah.
I would highly suggest that option as opposed to what we did, which was the at-home option.
Right.
Because there were many scenes that would have benefited from a large-scale format.
Definitely. Yeah, it was definitely a theater movie.
Yeah, for sure. And it was definitely theater-style audio.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. So Rachel and I have been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which so far, up to episode 3, fantastic. Loving it. But, I mean, we turn our television up to 35, maybe 40. Oh, my God. And if you didn't hear the bark, my dog's getting very angry at a neighbor who's just driving a very loud motorcycle up and down our road. Either way. But we're watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we're at 30-40% on the volume, and it's sometimes too loud.
Yeah.
I had to crank up this movie up to 85-90.
And it was still hard to hear in some parts.
It was, and the battle scenes only got kind of loud.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was just an HBO Max issue or what, but the sound mixing or the audio just seemed very low and subdued.
Yeah.
And I bet you it would have sounded better in a theater.
Yeah.
Where they have much more control over the audio mix than, streaming services.
Sure.
So there's that, yeah.
I can't decide if this was good or not. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure it wasn't very good. But that doesn't always matter. I can't decide if I really liked it or not.
Fair enough. Here's my issue with it. The people who made this thought they were aiming it at our generation.
I think they
or
thought
the
they
generation
were aiming it
before
at
us.
the one beneath us.
Yeah, or after us, I meant, not before us. Us or the one after us.
Yeah, this
But
felt like it was being directed at Gen Z from boomers.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is but they completely misinterpreted who
Right.
that person is that they are targeting it at.
Well,
they just
also
had some
misinterpreted
weird.
how to target at Gen Z if that's what they were doing.
Yeah,
There were some stabs that felt like, "Hey kids," but they were really weird. There was a mention of not being able to sell kids bleach because of how they got in trouble for Tide Pods. It's like, what?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? And
there
then
was
there's
some-
some weird music drops that were this feels incongruous with the rest of.
Yeah, well, and the entire subplot line of Millie Bobby Brown's character, what's his name? Julian Dennison, and the other guy, Bernie, Brian Tyree Henry. Those three characters.
They really did a disservice to all three of those actors by
Yeah.
just having them in this movie. They could have held a movie well. I feel like they were a cool trio, but none of them got enough attention as characters to merit their storyline.
No, completely. And honestly, it almost felt like they were a punchline.
Right.
They're like the sub-character, the subplots of a Transformers movie.
Sure.
Where they really
You know
don't
what?
have
A
anything
Transformers
to do.
movie is a really good equatable film for this.
Yeah.
This felt a little bit like a Transformers movie.
It really did. And I think that's why I'm offset about it. I'm not upset. I'm just...
Yeah, I
The
mean,
credits
I'd
rolled and
watch
I
it
felt,
again if it
man.
were on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think-
Like I would watch Transformers.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think one of the biggest problems I had with it is that they didn't know what they wanted aesthetically.
Yeah.
They tried to push this neon noir aesthetic in parts of it, but then they went traditional, like Kong and Godzilla, like the kaiju naturalistic, this is their world kind of vibe aesthetically, but then they also went hard industrial corporate in some parts, and they
Yeah.
didn't really blend those styles, they just all existed in the same movie. And I would have liked to see, if they want to do neon noir, I don't really feel like it's the vibe for these kind of movies, but if they'd gone all in, it could have been real cool, especially since their Godzilla has the neon kind of effect in it already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they had that weird axe thing for Kong that had the neon effect.
Mm-hmm.
They could have, pushed neon noir into the world and had it be a cohesive vibe, but, even with Mechagodzilla, which, what better excuse is there to push neon noir aesthetic into a Godzilla movie? They didn't do that with him. They went real industrialist with his design. It just didn't... It felt like three separate approaches to the same movie aesthetically.
Yeah, well, and, I would think that, like, it almost felt like there's 3 separate set designers.
Right. Yeah.
And it was so abrupt when they would change scenes because one would be hyper-futuristic neon noir, and then it would be industrial.
And it wasn't even like to delineate different locations. It wasn't like this corporation, we're going to go with this, but this world is, it was like what was it, Apex?
Apex, yeah.
They were like super neon noir. There was like an underground mag rail. It was all full of neon and purple and glowy and almost Tron. It was so neon-y.
Yeah.
And then you like walk through a door in their same facility and you're suddenly in this big industrialist underground bunker with like the plate steel walls.
And like the spray painted color, like numbers on each door.
Right.
It's just like...
It was jarring.
Yeah. No, if it was delineating like the difference between Apex,
Monarch looks like this, right?
Yeah, and
then it would have made
Skull
sense.
Island, and then like the Inner Earth or whatever.
But even Hollow Earth had neon noir vibes. They got that, so it like clearly could have done it.
Because you totally visit neon noir Moria.
Cyberpunk Moria. Moria 20.
Moria 2077.
Yes, exactly.
Kong, wake up. We got a city to burn.
Which is like a vibe that happens in the movie. You could put that dialogue in and it would make just as much sense as some of the one-liners they threw in there.
Wake up, Kong. We've got a city to burn. Oh my god. All we just needed was freaking Keanu Reeves to show up.
Yeah, would have been perfect.
It would have been it.
I wouldn't have even been able to be mad at the movie. Yeah. It would have been going so many directions. I would have just been like, you know what? Good for you.
It's like, all right, this is the direction. Got it.
The direction is no rules! I'm throwing handfuls of glitter into the air as I scream that.
Yeah. Oh, and poor Millie Bobby Brown. I love her. She's a great actress. But she is forever going to be stained by the 80s because of Stranger Things. The introduction scene, essentially, of her in this movie. I know she was in the last Godzilla, King of Monsters, but her introductory scene, driving part, has 80s synth pop playing in the background. It's like,
she's forever stained by forever.
Come on, man. Like,
she's maybe she'll escape.
I'm hoping so, because she's such a good actress.
Yeah,
like, she is such a good actor. But gosh, to be plagued by the 80s.
The last Godzilla didn't have these weird neon noir sensibilities, did they?
Mothra had some of that.
But that's just like bioluminescence.
Yeah, that's about it.
This one, the buildings are like all outlined in neon, like literally cyberpunk style.
No, yeah, the climax of the movie is set in Hong Kong, and I think Lorian made the comment: whoever like manufactures the glass for those neon tubes is a genius, because they're so fucking sturdy.
The neon is still going as the buildings collapse. They're hitting the buildings. All the windows are popping out, but the neon glass, that's staying in there.
Oh, man. It looked great, though.
It did. It was fun. And that's the problem, is it could have been cool. I'm there for a neon noir kaiju. Why not?
Yeah.
Like you said, there's bioluminescence already present in some of the kaiju.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for Hollow Earth to have bioluminescence. You could stretch it. You could be like, well, neon's a gas. You could, you can get there without too many crazy jumps.
Right, yeah.
But I just wanted it to be like intentional.
Well, it every time that I think about this, there is a movie that did kaiju, neon noir, big robot battles better, and that was Pacific Rim.
Sure.
And so here's my biggest criticism about Godzilla vs. Kong. They got the sense of scale wrong.
Yeah.
So they got the scale, I feel, down. Like, these were big monsters fighting, and you could tell they were big. You know, they borderline sink an aircraft carrier, which, God bless American industry.
It's the most over-engineered aircraft carrier ever.
But they almost sink it just by standing on it.
Almost.
Almost.
But not quite.
But their movements in the cities were just way too fast.
Sure.
And you just lost that sense of scale. And if you look at Pacific Rim, and you look at the previous Godzillas, I can't remember if the last Godzilla did it, but I know the first Godzilla and Kong Skull Island did it. They had very realistic camera placements.
Sure.
That made it feel like there was a camera on site filming this monstrous battle.
Right.
And it really gave it a sense of scale. This one, the camera was doing backflips.
Well, you mentioned
and,
that there are some, like, POV shots from Godzilla and Kong that felt really awkward.
Yeah, there was literally a POV shot where you had, like, monkey arms coming out of the sides of the view beating up Godzilla's face. And you're like, what is
Am I Kong?
Like, what was that about? Oh, now the kaiju has tuckered
The
out.
puppy is sleeping.
Oh, my gosh. She wasn't so cute, man.
That's how they get you.
She was such a menace. But yeah, they just, I don't know, they got the sense of scale, speed-wise, completely wrong.
Sure.
In some places. That threw me off.
Sure.
There were other places where they got it right.
Right.
Which kind of goes back into the neon noir, industrial, naturalistic things. It felt like there was different animators, animation directors supervising different units, and then they just, like, taped it all together.
Do we know when this was in production? Is this one of the movies where some of the digital animation was done from 400 different homes?
It might have been.
I mean, not that that's a good excuse, because it's not like those people are not supervised when they're working from their own spaces, but it could be a reason.
It could be. I hadn't heard anything about that, but I mean, the fact that it's now being released, I wouldn't doubt that was a factor. Which, I mean, it's not an excuse, but it is an excuse.
It's a reason.
It's a reason.
It's not a good excuse, but it's a reason.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if there was a causation of it. But I mean, I didn't hate the movie.
No.
That's the thing. Like, if this movie was on TV and I had nothing else to do or watch, I'd watch
keep watching.
Yeah, like, I didn't detest anything about it.
No, I don't want to tempt fate, because as we've learned recently, this is a very dangerous thing to say. I wouldn't mind a longer cut that gave more of their storylines space to breathe.
Right, yeah.
But even that, I don't really want to watch this movie again without a lot of reworking.
Right.
You know, like, the aesthetic issues are more than just a different cut of the film deep.
Right,
that sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. But the story, I think, could benefit from just giving it a little more space to breathe. It was already a 2-hour-long movie, though, so it was a pretty good runtime. It just, they wanted to pack too much into it.
No, I totally agree with you on that one. And that, you know, I'm going to lean back into Marvel. You know, that's why I'm really liking these shows.
Sure.
Is because they give that amount of time to let a character breathe, you know?
What are your neighbors doing outside?
I don't know. There's those hoverboard things. Every once in a while I get visited by UFOs. It's this family that walk their dogs at, like, past sundown, so around this time. and there's usually 3 or 4 of them. They are all on neon light covered, LED covered hoverboards that go like half a mile an hour.
Nice.
And so, like, I'll just be in here and I won't have the lights on. I'll be playing a game or something like that, and then my window will just illuminate. I'm like, what the heck? And I look outside and there's just 4 hoverboards just slowly like, and this fat ass dog just like trying to walk along. It's like, oh my god. It's the most bizarre thing you'll ever see. And it's so weird having in-person recording again.
It's been over a year.
Over a year since we've had in-person recording. Mm-hmm. Here's hoping that nothing else will happen, huh?
Y'all be responsible. We're only doing this because everyone in the household is vaccinated, and we wear masks around every other person who is not.
Yep.
Like, let's be very clear. We are being very careful in this scenario. Ian and I already share a workspace, so we already have that contact, and we waited for his wife to be safe before even coming near. So, be safe and careful. We're not out of the woods, and we want to keep recording on our nice microphones, so please don't dive us into another outbreak.
It's like, God damn it, I want to watch more movies in the theater.
Right.
But yeah, this would have been much better.
So much better. It needs the hype of, like, overblown visuals and sound that you get in the theaters, because it really wanted to be a spectacle.
Yeah, it came and went so abruptly. The ending was just so abrupt.
It was, yeah.
Like, looking back. Because it was such the last act of the movie is a bar brawl.
Yes.
It's 2 characters fighting each other, both becoming kind of exhausted. Godzilla kind of winning,
I guess.
but I don't know.
Well, he did win because they had to restart Kong's heart by exploding a ship on him.
Because, science. But then those 2 characters then have to fight a third character, which I guess was being controlled by the skull that...
Sure.
They never really explain that.
Sure. Yeah. So, either a sentient robot or a ghost-controlled robot.
Yes.
Either way, he gets ripped into a lot of pieces, so it won't matter in the future.
Yeah. That kaiju had a really big carbon footprint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Natural
kaiju are way greener, guys. Why are we doing this?
When choosing a city-destroying element, please choose the green option.
Please be responsible for the
natural
good of Earth.
kaijus. I don't know what else to say about this movie other than if you want to see really big monsters fight each other.
Yeah, it had some
go for it.
Some fun moments.
It's got some good moments, but I mean, if you're going in for the plot,
yeah, if you're a deep lore person and you really want to, like, get to the meat of what's happening, there's not a lot of that.
And if there is, we probably couldn't hear half of it.
Right.
Because the audio was so quiet and we were being attacked by a dog the entire time.
Sure.
Every time I think about this movie, it reminds me of a meme that I saw. And it's from Thor Ragnarok. And it just has the giant blazing monster in the background. It says Godzilla versus Kong. And that it's Thor. And it's like, you can't go. It's still COVID-19 like things. And then it's just Hulk go, but big monster. It's like, yeah, that's how I felt about this.
Speaking of Thor. Kong gets Stormbringer, right? Like,
yep.
I'm not imagining that, right?
No, that was totally Stormbringer, and I was genuinely waiting for him to hold out his hand.
To axe in the air and have lightning hit down on him, or pushing lightning out of his arms.
He even has the moment as he's flying through the air with the axe.
There were several moments where just naturally Music cues from the Thor movies came up. They didn't actually happen in the movie, but they were right there waiting.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a million on TikTok right now. Someone had to have done it. They were too obvious not to see. You got Immigrant Song in there, just the setup is perfect.
Seriously, though. I might need to make a clip of that.
Yeah.
That and the... You gotta save Mothra. How do you know that name? Because they literally have that scene. There's one's being pinned down by the other, and they're yelling at each other. That's directly ripped from Batman versus Superman. By the way, where's Mothra? Did Mothra die in the last one?
I don't remember. It's been a long time. It's been at least 50 years.
At least 50 years, yeah. Give or take.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we've been doing this podcast for 3 years.
Yeah, over 3 years.
And one of those years was COVID, so it's either 2 years
or 4
years.
It's definitely not 3.
It's definitely not been 3 years, so I'm not 100% sure how the math works out, but I know it's for sure not been 3 years that we've been doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the timeline, linear timeline, it has been over 3 years that we've been doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. How weird is that?
It's very weird. We've recorded this podcast in 4 different apartments and a house.
And then over the interwebs.
Yep.
Hopefully those days are done for. But
is there actual wood in this office anywhere?
Knock on particle board. Oh, sorry, we woke up the kaiju. Oh, back to sleep. Slumber, kaiju, slumber.
I was really sure that it wasn't going to be actual Godzilla at the beginning.
Yeah, that blew my theory out of the water. It had red eyes.
Yep.
Why the hell did Godzilla have red eyes?
Rewrites.
For very distinct red eyes.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then they go to Hong Kong and he's like, no, got my amber eyes again, and there's a red-eyed robot now. Yep. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I have to say, though, I do really like the design of this Godzilla.
Yeah.
This kind of chunky
Me too.
Godzilla. It looks like a guy could be in a suit in it when they designed it. And I think that clashed a little bit with Kong, because Kong was a very naturalistic...
Sure.
And of course, Kong was never played by a guy in a suit. It's always either been stop motion or CG, like in Peter Jackson's.
Right.
But even that, they designed
it to be. I haven't seen that in a while. Does it hold up?
There are parts that hold up very well, and there are parts that don't hold up at all.
That's a shame.
The part that holds up the best, surprisingly, is the T-Rex fight.
Huh.
Or the R-Rex or Y-Rex, whatever those things are. The dinosaur fight.
Yeah.
It's one of the best-looking CG things, because it's not actually fully CG. Like, the terrain is... model work. It's miniatures. Bigatures. Yeah. But yeah, it holds up really well.
Nice.
But then there's scenes that, like the running with the brontosauruses or whatever.
Sure.
It does not hold up at all. And it's also like an hour and a half too long.
Sure. I remember that when it came out, even.
There's like 3 distinct.
But it came out deep in
movie.
that bubble when anyone would have let Peter Jackson do whatever we wanted. Like,
I still would.
Yeah.
If it's a project he wants to work on.
Yes.
When it's a project Peter Jackson wants to work on, whether it's Lord of the Rings high fantasy or a documentary about World War I, it is prime quality, top-notch cinema. But when it's something he's having to do for a paycheck, like The Hobbit or... Oh my goodness gracious.
It's a loud garage.
I don't know if the mics can hear it or not, but wow, that kind of startled me.
It's shaking my feet.
Yeah. Hey, Rachel's home.
Good to know.
That all being said, I don't really know if I have anything else to say about Godzilla vs. Kong.
No, I don't. I mean, yeah. That's it.
If you want to see big movie monsters fight each other.
There's also, like, that moment where they're really, really surprised that the giant gorilla learned sign language. Like, we haven't known that was a thing gorillas could do for a very long time.
A very long time, yeah.
They're all like, oh my god, did you see him sign? And it's like, yeah, bro, like, they can take care of kittens, too. What are you doing?
It's like, I remember motherfucking Coco. Coco knew how to talk. Jeez. She hugged Robin Williams.
No, well, now I'm sad.
Oh. Yeah, me too. Anyways, this has been another episode of Casual Cinephilia. We should probably talk about... Oh, we already talked about. Next movie. Snyder Cut.
That really long one.
Yeah, the really long Snyder
That I
Cut.
haven't seen any of the setup for.
Yeah. So that will be great. Patreons, Jenny, Jake, Pammy
Jenny,
you
Jake,
guys
Pammy
are
Graham.
awesome. Thank you so much. You make all of this possible.
Yes.
And with that, this has been another episode of Casual Cinephilia. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.